Direct from Dell by Michael Dell, 1999. In a nutshell, the simplest, most uncomplicated way is often the most successful. Michael Dell's first business venture, at 12 years old, arose from his hobby of philately. He'd bought stamps at auctions and realized that stamp sellers made good money, so got together a catalog of his and his friends' stamps and sold them via mail order. He made $2,000. This effort at cutting out the middleman and selling direct was a taste of things to come. Born in 1965 in Houston, Texas, Dell came of age at the dawn of personal computers, and they quickly became his real love. He hung around computer stores and eventually got his parents to give him a PC for his 15th birthday. They were infuriated when he immediately took it to pieces in order to find out how it worked. Then, by good fortune, the 1982 National Computer Conference, now Comdex, happened to be held in Houston, and Dell skipped school every day to attend. This was the industry side of computing, and it opened Dell's eyes. He discovered the huge markups sustaining computer sales, by which IBM could buy the components for a PC for $600 to $700 and then sell it on to retailers who would charge the public $3,000. Germination of a business. What Dell also realized was that anyone could buy these components and make their own machine. Furthermore, the person who sold you a computer in a store generally didn't know much about the technology. Retailers were making $1,000 a computer, but offering no real customer support. Demand for computers was enormous, and people didn't ask questions, they just bought. Even at this age, Dell believed that he could make better machines and sell them at a lower price, but his parents wanted him to go to college and become a doctor. In his freshman year at the University of Texas, Dell was taking classes while on the side doing computer upgrades for business people and professionals. With his grades looking shaky, his parents paid him a surprise visit. He managed to stow away all the computer parts in his dorm room, but was firmly told that he had to give up the computer business and concentrate on his studies. His dad said, "Get your priorities straight. What do you want to do with your life?" To his father's distinct lack of amusement, he replied, "I want to compete with IBM." The Dell Difference. So begins Michael Dell's account of the early years of his company, one of the great success stories of our times. Dell readily admits that it's neither a memoir nor a history of his company. The purpose of the book is to help in honing your competitive edge, no matter what industry you're in or what your role is. His story is one of a very small player changing an industry. As a piece of writing, direct from Dell, Strategies that Revolutionized an Industry, is not brilliant, but its value is in showing us how thinking differently and then having the courage of our convictions is an essential law of success. To return to the story. At the beginning of 1984, Dell formally registered a company. Through a small ad in the local newspaper, he started to sell over $50,000 a month of upgrades, upgrade kits, and components, and without telling his parents, moved from his dorm into a 2-bedroom apartment. He leased 1,000 square feet of office space and started employing people. As the business took hold, Dell knew that there was no time for him to spare at college, and he left. Was he scared? Yes, he admits, but the risk was balanced by the fact that students were allowed to take a semester off with no penalty, so the door was left open for him to return. He needn't have worried. In the next year or two, his company had to move 3 times to bigger premises, and as well as upgrades, Dell started selling its own PC based on the 286 chip. Although hard to believe now, Dell's idea of selling equipment direct through the mail or over the phone was something new. Just about everyone bought their computer from a retailer or distributor. By cutting out the middleman and dealing with the public and businesses direct, he could save them a lot of money. What's more, through direct communication, he could find out exactly what each customer wanted, not just for their current machine, but for anything in the future. This established a crucial element of Dell's success, getting the customer involved in the developmental phase. In early computer sales, speed and performance were everything. IBM had 70% of the market with a 6 MHz 286 PC. So Dell designed and sold a 12 MHz machine at half the price. At the next Comdex show, there were lines of people to see the machines, and Michael Dell made it onto the cover of PC Week. He says that he learned the lessons of time to market and the speed at which the computer industry moves. This unbeatable combination of performance and price saw business boom. In 1986, Dell did $60 million in sales, less than 3 years after the firm officially began. In 1988, it became a public company. Michael Dell's Lessons for Success. Think unconventionally. Plenty of people told Dell that his direct approach to selling computers would never work on a large scale. It's fun to do things that people don't think are possible or likely, he says. Consequently, questioning conventional wisdom became a basic element of the culture of the firm. Despise the status quo. Dell's staff are told to think like entrepreneurs, or as if they're owners of Dell. They are much more likely to take risks. He tells staff, there's no risk in preserving the status quo, but there's no profit either. Set big goals that may just be doable. At the end of 1986, the company set a goal to achieve $1 billion in sales by 1992 and to expand internationally. By 1992, it was doing twice this. Setting a large goal makes you think about how you will achieve it. Love change. Being on the cover of Fortune doesn't guarantee you anything, Dell says. In the computer industry, no one can rest on their laurels. You need a climate of perpetual change and to be a voracious learner to foresee what's happening and provide for it. Dell even surfs the web after his kids have gone to sleep to see what people in chat rooms are saying about the company. Focus on your possibilities, not your competitors. A simple tip, easily forgotten in the stress of the business arena, but one that assists in reaching creative solutions. Don't act from fear. Measure yourself not by others, but by an absolute standard of excellence. Running Dell. Dell jokes that no one taught him at school how to run a billion-dollar company. Its enormous growth itself became a problem because it blinded him to the more important measures of profitability and cash flow. That is, value as opposed to pure growth alone. The solution, as obvious as it seems now, was to put a new emphasis on facts and data. Out of this came a laser-sharp focus on doing fewer things better. Instead of trying to put out a range of laptops, for instance, the firm put everything into the Dell Latitude. It was the first notebook to have a lithium-ion battery that would last as long as a flight from Los Angeles to New York. It was a big success. Of this challenging period, Dell says, we began to realize that it's as important to figure out what you're not going to do as it is to know what you are going to do. Dell embraced selling on the Internet before almost anyone else. The company's expertise was in direct selling. Therefore, the direct, no intermediary nature of selling on the Internet was the perfect medium for its growth. In June 1996, it started selling computers online, and by December 1996 was doing $1 million a day, when Amazon.com was only turning over $15 million a quarter and losing money. Thus, the business model that had already been put in place received a massive boost from a medium that perfectly suited it. In addition, Dell's suppliers started to provide the company with components only hours before they would be needed. This was a crucial advantage in an industry where, because of the speed of new technological improvements, being stuck with old components could be disastrous. Dell also became well known for its home servicing, at a time when if something went wrong with your computer, you had to lug it to the store. Because it had no shopfront, in a way Dell had to provide this. Being a direct selling company meant that it had to work extra hard to convince the public and businesses of its credibility. It has to under-promise and over-deliver, as Dell puts it, never doing things merely for technology's sake and making sure that what it offers customers is what they want. Final comments. Written at the height of high-tech mania during the Internet's honeymoon, Direct from Dell is a classic because it's both a record of this amazing period and a success manual. Some will say that Dell was just lucky to be sitting on the tip of a rocket that took off, but he's lived through the hype and continues to produce remarkable results. The company currently has revenues of $39 billion with 40,000 employees. At the time of writing, it's the market leader in PCs with 17.3% of the market, compared to the much older Hewlett-Packard's 15.8%. Truly a David and Goliath story. In his drive to provide people with an ever-improving product at ever-decreasing prices, Dell is a modern-day Henry Ford. Like Ford did with cars, his aim has been to take the mystery out of buying and operating a computer. Dell's overriding success lesson is that the simpler you can make life for people, the more valuable you will be to them. While it sags in the middle and is somewhat repetitive, Direct from Dell is an inspiring book if you're thinking about forming a company. Part 1 is more interesting because it's more personal and follows the excitement of the firm's rise from dorm room to the Fortune 500. Yet, unlike some success manuals, there's little element of the heroic. It's understated, and although he's clearly a passionate businessman, Dell's humanity can be read between the lines.